Hey everyone, welcome back to the You're Not Finished podcast. My name is Brittany Franklin. I'm the host of this podcast, and I just want to say before I get started, whether you've been listening since the first episode a couple of months ago, which it's not that long ago, and it's not like there is a bunch of episodes, but whether you've been listening since then or whether you're just tuning in to see what YNF is about, I just want to say I really appreciate you listening. And I also want to say, for those who have been listening since the beginning and have been waiting for an episode a little bit longer than usual, I want to apologize for that. The month of June is an especially hard month for me mentally and emotionally, and I will be open and honest about that in the next episode of YNF. But I just want to say I appreciate your patience. I wanted to make sure that I was as emotionally healthy as humanly possible before putting out another episode. So thank you so much for that. And I'm just going to jump right into it. Before I do, I want to give a quick trigger warning. On this episode, I'm going to review the Netflix comedy special Inside, which was written, directed, and produced by Burnham. And that comedy special references and talks about anxiety, depression, panic attacks, and suicide. So if any of those subjects cause you any mental or emotional harm or distress, please refrain from listening or listen with caution. So if you're not familiar with Bo Burnham, as I wasn't before watching this movie or the comedy special, he's a comedian, musician, director, actor. He's literally a jack of all trades and does it all. You can Google him for more information about him, but he got his start on YouTube, did a lot of musical comedy on YouTube and other skits and stuff like that, and then just basically blew up after that. This Netflix special is his first comedy special in 5 years since he decided to walk away from stand-up at that time due to suffering panic attacks on set. So I felt a little bit of hesitancy before watching this movie because based on some reviews that I had seen and even a coworker commenting on it, I expected to be completely triggered and almost unable to react to it. But I decided to just go ahead and watch it. And as I kept going back and forth between wondering what the hell I was watching and marveling at this guy's mind, because honestly, no one can say that this production and this content and the writing isn't extremely engaging and even kind of genius as far as creatively speaking at some points. But after I watched it, I did have to take like an hour or so to decompress a little bit, because as someone who struggles with anxiety and depression and who has struggled with suicidal thoughts and ideation, I didn't really know how to feel about it initially. So just for the record, I'm going to be referencing a lot of musical stuff because I think, as I said before, that's his style of comedy. The majority of this comedy special is musical in nature. So overall, I think it was really good. I really appreciate how well delivered his social commentary was throughout the movie, especially in the That's How the World Works song. The White Woman's Instagram song was hilarious, and I'm so glad that the music from this special is on Spotify because FaceTime with my mom is hilarious also, and I will probably be adding that to my playlist. Get Your Hands Up, although I was initially freaked out by the eye contact at the beginning. I'm sure that was the point. But I think it's also a great song, if that's the name of the song. But yeah, overall I thought it was good. I think contrary to what some people are saying, this isn't just a pandemic related comedy special, although you could easily link it to dealing with COVID, especially since he's in a small room by himself, writing and producing this comedy special and recording it. But bigger than that, and obviously not to diminish COVID and everything that's happened in the past year, I found myself resonating with what he was expressing as far as mental health is concerned, and I appreciated the bravery in sharing his hard moments and describing him in a way that is understandable, relatable, and hopefully can be some kind of aid in helping to end stigma. I don't think that's the purpose of this comedy special, which is okay, but yeah, it can really help. Now that I'm actually remembering, he says at the beginning of the special that the purpose of it is to attempt to distract himself from committing suicide, and it's shared in the hopes of distracting others from doing the same. And so I do hope that people who are struggling with depression, anxiety, panic attacks, mental health issues, suicidal thoughts feel seen, heard, and understood. But I also know this could be significantly triggering for some people, and possibly encourage them to creatively bleed on camera, when it might not always be the best idea to do that. But either way, and in spite of that, I still believe it can help to end stigma surrounding mental illness and suicide. I also liked the authenticity of the special, although there were times where I felt like I was watching a social experiment, or something that felt a little contrived, but I'm pretty sure that's due to the duality of a man trying to be entertaining while going through mental distress and dealing with COVID and trying to make sense of everything in the midst of a pandemic. There are moments where I wanted him to just walk outside, but obviously that would defeat the purpose of the movie, considering that it's called Inside. And I also had to remember that you can't really go anywhere during the pandemic. And when it comes to mental health, you can't just walk outside of your mind during an anxiety attack or a depressive episode, even though you want to. One of the parts that really struck out to me the most was him talking about how after 5 years of being away from stand-up, he was ready to get back out there after taking that time to heal. And then the pandemic happened, which obviously ruined that for him. And the reason why is I'm sure a lot of people had that hope and had huge plans for 2020. So the emotional aspect and the emotional impact of your plans or dreams being put on hold was absolutely tough for everyone. When he talks about suicide and suicidal thoughts at the halfway point of the movie, or maybe a little bit past that, I understood that point as either he was making a point about the insensitive or ignorant things that people might say to someone who is struggling, or what you would try to say to yourself in the middle of a depressive episode or a manic episode in order to not end your life, or what you would say to yourself every day. However, that I think was my least favorite part of the special. And if you were to ask me why, I really couldn't tell you. I think maybe now that I'm actually thinking about it, I could say that that was the part that might have been the most triggering. I think it bothered me so much because I've been on the receiving end of insensitive or basic or ignorant remarks in response to me expressing that I'm struggling with suicidal thoughts. And people might be well-intentioned or whatever, but at the same time, I think that when a person doesn't have the maturity or the education or the patience or the compassion to be able to respond well to someone who struggles with their mental illness and struggles with suicidal thoughts. It's at that point that you have to just turn it over to someone who does have all of those qualities. So yeah, I think that's why that bothered me, because more often than not, like, I've experienced the ignorant responses or the basic responses. Oh, don't do it. You have so much to live for, which might be true. It might be well and good, but again, a lot of times that in and of itself just isn't helpful. At the end of the day, I'm hoping and praying that I'm on a first name basis with the dude. I'm really not, but I hope that Bo Burnham is seeking the help that he needs, or that he was doing so at the time that he created this movie, because I'm sure it took a considerable amount of energy and mental effort to write, record, film, edit, and produce this thing. So overall, really well done. Great content. Even though this is the only thing I've seen with him or seen directed by him, I think he's easily one of the most talented and creative people in the industry. So I would only recommend it if you can handle dark comedy or satire and the fact that mental health is referenced in that way. But with that being said, I think for my own mental well-being, I probably won't be watching it again. Yeah. The other thing too is I kind of wish that, like I said, it's not the purpose of a comedy special to end stigma surrounding mental health. But because that was such a key point of the special, I would have liked it if he would have included resources where people can actually get help, for those who are struggling. But again, not the point. But yeah, that's my commentary. Bo Burnham Inside is on Netflix. So yeah, if you want to watch that, it's there. Reach out to me on social media with your thoughts about it. And let me know if I misinterpreted something about this special. So, I do want to say, if you or someone you know is struggling with suicidal thoughts, please call the Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255. And if you need additional resources for mental health, addiction, and suicide, head over to you'renotfinished.com and click the Get Help section. Also, please follow me on Twitter at @YNFinished and on Instagram at YNFcast to stay up to date on the latest episodes and for encouraging content. And I will see you again in a couple of weeks. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a great day.